Welcome to the Coyote Curling Club. This is the 2025 Ed Werenich Golden Wrench Classic. On the mic today, you've got Eric Howell, and you've also got Daryl Horseman. We'll be bringing you the play-by-play as it unfolds.
Thank you, Daryl. Much appreciated. Happy to be back. This is the ninth year we've been doing this, I believe.
Well, since 16, so it's been 8 years or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see a couple of returning teams.
Yeah, a couple of teams that are having good seasons.
Yeah, totally. The for those who wonder kind of how we got here, it was in the quarters, Abe and Adams and Kalehoff and Epping. Abe, inching out Adams, Epping taking care of Kalehoff. And then it wasn't a bad game, I don't think, between Abe from Japan and Epping, but gosh, Epping is so hot right now.
Yeah,
the whole team,
the score didn't justify how well that game was played, right?
Yeah.
There was a couple of, real messy ends that all of a sudden, boom, goes the dynamite, and, Epping sitting 3 or Epping sitting 4, and it's like, what do we do now?
Oh, yeah, and then you can see the shot selection. It was just clean house, keep it clean, for the rest of the remainder of the game, so totally, well played by Team Epping, and it's, of course, no shock that they're here. On the other side of the bracket, you've got Schuster and Sinet playing down, Casper and Dunham going at it, and that's they've seen each other lots of times.
Yep.
Dunham squeaked that one out. Schuster, Team Schuster snuck that out against Sinet, and it was actually again, not a bad game, against Schuster and Dunham. But what was your thoughts on that game? We just watched it.
Yeah, no, it was a good game. Dunham kind of left themselves in a couple of awkward positions, and Schuster capitalized, right? And that's what teams do to get to this point.
Oh, absolutely, and this should be a great game. Schuster just did well. The whole team did well at the slam up in Liverpool. Epping's been no slouch all season, so we should be in a treat for this game for sure. Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on the stream. We'll don't walk too far away from your phones. We'll be asking you some questions, and it'll be an interactive stream. So. This whole weekend, especially today, the ice has been extremely fast. Long times of about 25, 26 seconds. 15-8 for guards and top 12. So,
and just give you a little history here. Looking, Epping has played Schuster dating back to 2015, so the last decade or so. They're up 12-4 over them with, one game in 2024, but really nothing then from 2021 to 2019. So they haven't had much the last couple of years, but historically Epping is probably about a 2-1 favorite, 3-1 favorite.
Yeah, and I think, Schuster's team is playing at a really high level right now. Obviously, Epping, like I said earlier, doing really well. So this should be a good game. They haven't. Maybe John's got some new tricks that Epping hasn't seen yet, or vice versa. So it'll be a good match.
My money's on John.
I'm going to take that action.
Oh, fair. Either way, it's
Yeah. Well, the handshakes are done. The practice is over. We'll get out, and we're just a little bit late, but that's okay. Just before the draw, we were. It's 60 degrees here in Tempe, Arizona. Obviously Epping from Ontario, and team Schuster from the range, Duluth and Minnesota area, Chaska.
Both teams were outside on the front lawn, soaking up some rays. They had half hour, 45-minute break before they had to come in and warm up. So it was good to see everybody out there and just kind of doing their thing.
Yeah, stretch on the grass, get a little bit of vitamin D.
Yeah,
good. Then they got to walk back into to the ice house there. It's what a balmy 34, 40 degrees.
Yeah, I think it was 35 or 36 this morning. But yeah, we're right in there.
Yeah, a lot of toques and mitts out there earlier. So So I suspect we'll play just a fairly conservative first end.
Yeah, you
Test the
know,
waters.
we'll find out on. Well, there probably goes that just right off the right. Like, you know, Schuster deciding to come around off this center guard right out of the gate. So we'll see what kind of fireworks this maybe leads to in the first end.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it looks like we got some folks watching from California. You know, hearts and prayers to everybody in California. Is obviously going through a bad time right now. Glad you could, take a moment to spend some time with us. And looks like we have some friends from Regina tuning in, and a lot of Epping fans. So we'll see if John can Epping. I mean,
Fair.
can bring it home.
And a solid draw there around, fully buried top 4, biting top 8. That's about as well placed as you could get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm always, just so appreciative of these players at this level that, first shot, can get top 4, no problem. Like, they have all these shots in their back pocket. Really, really remarkable. Some good sweeping here. Excellent shot. Yeah, this is very textbook so far. We'll stack them up until probably to the thirds, I would imagine. The second or the third's first. Rock,
Yeah, and then we'll see where the stones, the tea leaves go at that point. Another good shot there by Matt Hamilton, who's been rotating this weekend and all season with John Landsteiner.
Yeah.
Schuster, the second, third year, they've been doing this full 5-man rotation.
Yeah. And a lot of teams are doing that just because the season starts so early and you play so many games. Having that fifth person, really does help out. Life gets in the way, or injuries. It gives the time for the body to recoup. Nicely done.
Yeah, I mean, so far for those scoring at home, we have 5 stones in play and we have 5 fives.
Right.
So
right. Let's go to. Yeah, so looking at the schedule, it looks like both teams are preparing for the WFG Masters. Going to be in Guelph this year. Last year's champ was Joel Retornez out of Italy. That's 14-19.
Epping now deciding to come around the other side. A few stones under that guard, but that yellow shot stone popping out a little.
Yeah, I just need a little board weight. Tap it back, maybe roll your shooter to T line, 8 foot somewhere. You're just a little tight on that. I don't think that's what they were wanting, but John will probably replace it. I don't know if he necessarily needs to rearrange the rocks right now. Well, I guess he's doing that.
Yeah, well, as indicated by the way he's been tapping the broom. But yeah, we'll see what comes here. It's definitely lined up to kind of sit 2, have your third shot roll over. So
it'd be interesting. Be interesting to see where that yellow on the 8-foot, if that pops out to the right and covers shot rock, and doesn't leave a double.
So, and I forgot to ask him on the front end, but I know the Packers are playing the Eagles earlier, or in a little bit. I forgot to ask Matt earlier today. What would he rather have? Win the Golden Wrench or see the Packers win the championship?
Well, he was
Super Bowl.
He did have a crazy, awesome Packer hat on.
Oh, and I don't know if you saw the coveralls. He also,
that was, so I think his heart is with the Packers.
Because I know the other 3 guys would rather see the Vikings, right? Like, so there's that. They're like, we want the wrench in the Vikings.
Yes.
But Matt was definitely the most vocal about his NFL support.
Well, yeah.
And conversely, the Epping team, I don't know if they were even aware that football was happening.
well, no, the CFL ended a few months back, so yeah, exactly right. Well, interesting reorganization of the rocks in the house. It does cover that shot rock just a little bit better. Staggers obviously the red yellow on the top 12. Looks like John's coming in doing the in-off now early, because obviously with those staggered red yellow on the top 12, that's a 2-shotter to clear that up, or one good double. But nice aggressive shot right out of the gate here.
Yeah, and I think if this would have been like a pool play matchup, we may not have seen such aggression out of the gate. But, both these teams have played these sheets. They've played these stones. They're familiar with what the ice is doing. They're familiar with each other. So you can afford to be a little more, aggressive with your play calling and what you're doing.
Just goes underneath. Super close. Yeah, John's Team Epping's 4-1 over this weekend, and the Schuster rink is 5-0. So to your point, Eric, they've why not come out guns a-blazing, right? The feeling very confident, playing really well, so why not?
And, the event itself, good mix of teams. We were about 50-50 Canadian and U.S. You throw in the team from Japan.
Yeah.
Solid international field coming down, enjoying everything that the Golden Wrench has to offer.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's this is a favorite tour spot, for the players, and of course we still need to get a women's event here for December, January, because there's really nothing out there for the women. So we for all the tour players that have reached out and talked to either one of us, we hear you, and we're gonna get something on the books.
And something else that happened this morning prior to the playoffs starting, we had a nice video message from Eddie, which was enjoyable.
Very nice.
Played it for all the teams that had qualified. It was just always a good hearing from him.
Right.
Unfortunately, he couldn't be here this year, but the fact that he still supports the event and is probably watching online like he does, the past couple of years is appreciated. So hi, Eddie.
Well, yeah, he's such a fan of the club. Helped us out years ago, well, for a number of years. But when we first got going, back in 2003, so this is a way to sort of honor his legacy and all that he's done for curling over the years. So, great shot. Look, the. Yeah, it looks like. Colin has been a sweeping, I've been so amazed, maybe the wrong word, but just so impressed with the caliber of sweeping this whole weekend. The sweeping game has increased over the years, and Huffman being, 6'1", 6'2", being able to lean on that. He's been able to just drag everything or keep it straight.
Yeah, it's funny. There was a conversation last night between Groton out of New Brunswick, and I'm trying to remember who else, but they were talking about, how nice it is to play in a club that has such good ice and lively stones and blah, blah, blah. And it just makes you really appreciate, as a club member here, like what we have. Because, you hear, oh, God, our stones are dead, our houses are dead, or, whatever.
Right.
But then, like, these guys come down and they play some of the best conditions on the planet. And to hear them talk about it is like, okay, you know what? This is a great facility.
Yeah. I remember one of our first years doing the wrench, Johnny Moe comes down and, know John for a while, and he's thinking, okay, Arizona, it's going to be slow and sluggish, and the heat's going to be it's going to be 60 degrees inside the ice shed, and there's a stone should sound a certain way, and the ice should react a certain way. And he threw 3 stones, and he comes over, he goes, Daryl, you got something here. It wasn't he was totally blown away, and I think to the credit to our ice makers and to the club, hate to brag too hard, but I think for a warm weather, we still are the only club in the desert, and we still are the southernest most club in the North America. But I guess that obviously has to be. I think we're really proud of what we got here. Yeah,
and honestly, part of it is just a testament to the same teams that come back year after year, and the quality of teams that come back.
Yeah, agreed.
Epping choosing to hit this. Probably roll in, sit 2. That needs to sit down a little.
Yeah, it would have been nice to hide around that guard for a bit, but still again.
So yeah, Schuster taking a look to see what second shot is. Probably choosing to hit this one in the back and sit 2 that way.
Yep.
Don't know that you want much roll here.
No, not a lot of real estate in the back, and typically you don't see the back 12 rocks counting very often at this level, but it's again, it's a good safe first end. Everybody kind of get their bearings, get the cool off a little bit from laying on the grass, get down to business. But we talked about this on our break. The degree of difficulty, I'm sure, will, these ends are going to be complicated pretty quick, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah, and both teams, historically like to have a lot of stones in play, which should lead to some exciting skip stones as we progress over the course of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as aforementioned, there's a good look at the Packer hat that Hamilton's wearing. Tie-dye, I believe.
Tie-dye, yeah.
Classify that as,
It's almost like a tie-dye electric. If you could have a hat that totally embodies a nightclub vibe, that's that hat.
Not where I thought you were going to go with that. I thought you were going to ask, if you could have a hat that embodies, you, what would that hat be?
Oh, goodness. Probably one of those bison hats from the Flintstones.
Oh, yeah, okay.
One of those.
Oh, like the water buffalo.
Water buffalo,
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, they look pretty warm. A little top-heavy.
Yeah. How about you at home? If you could have a hat, you're wearing this hat, it is your hat moving forward. What is it? Is it a sports team hat? Is it a baseball hat? Is it a Stormy Cromer?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a cowboy hat?
Kanga? Sure.
Yeah, Kangle, whatever it is. Yeah. But let us know in the chat what your hat would be.
Yeah.
And if anybody does say Kangle, I'm assuming they're into smooth jazz.
I think you're absolutely right. It looks like Kathy Horgan's on from Sudbury. Kathy, drop in the chat. What's the current temperature out there in Sudbury? Yeah, you got some snow. All right. Yeah, John decides let's just go for the easy board weight hit. Stick around for the 2. Yeah, really good end. I don't think, in the first 2.5 minutes of this game that you would tell me that the scoring stones would be at the back 12. I wouldn't have believed you.
Well, especially the first 5 stones were all above the tee line.
Yep.
Right? So, the little scatter and just kind of see where they fall and go from there.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah, this kind of talks to the quickness of the pretty good for LSD. Matt sort of looking like he didn't like that too much.
-4 Celsius and snowing.
Ooh, that's actually not bad. Yeah,
I'll let you do the conversion.
Yeah, what is it? The double it and add 30, or vice versa is the quick way. But yeah, it's got to be it's got to be 28. Yeah, 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So not bad.
Yeah,
Not bad. It's a nice day in Sudbury. This is going to slide in as well. Is it going to check up? Just nibbles. So unfortunately, it slides in and out of the free rock or the guard zone. So John's going to look to probably hit and flop to the center.
Before we get too far in, because we
Yeah.
don't know what's going to happen,
Yeah.
you'd already mentioned the ice cream, but also thanks to all the volunteers who work the door, the bar, just the general hospitality. Events like this don't happen without those people.
No, absolutely. The every tour stop, whether it's a tour event like this or even just a local bond spiel or a cash spiel, like it really takes a village, and our club isn't special in that way. So, shout out to all the volunteers at every curling club that has curling. So, yeah, thanks for all you do, the unsung heroes. So the sand's not shaping up quite like the teams have anticipated. Let's see if Johns decides to, let's just blank this, hold them at, See if there can be a deuce come out of nowhere. So he does have one guard up. John's like to come around, keep the pressure on.
I'd need to go back and look, but I know both these teams have qualified for the playoffs here before. I know neither of them have won the Golden Wrench, but I'm trying to remember if either of them have made it to a final before or not.
They have not.
Okay.
They have not. This would be the first time for both of them.
So we're going to have a new champion.
Yes.
A first-time champion of this event.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are always special.
It is.
You always remember your first set of golden wrenches. And I think as far as trophies go, and kind of a shout out to Kawaluska, or You know anything about those guys?
Yeah. No, thank you. We're happy to sponsor the curling club here in town. We're happy to provide the trophies and some other Bonspiel support that we do over the course of the year. But the wrench, having played in it numerous times and met Eddie and curled a bit at other events, it's one that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm happy to help support and provide the trophies for it.
Yeah.
So.
And as far as trophies go, I don't know if we should have probably put it into the home shot there for our viewers at home. You can sort of see the skirting we have on sheet B, but it's a 3-foot wrench that you would probably see on ice road truckers taking off one of these big lug nuts, and it's speedboat sparkly gold, which is just phenomenal. As far as like a trophy goes, like if you're going to win the golden wrench, like by goodness, that's the golden wrench.
Yeah, and then every year we do the keeper trophies as well, which same thing. We custom make 4 wrenches for the team, and if Schuster wins, we'll come up with a 5th. Not impossible to do,
impossible.
But happy to do it. And it's funny. A few years ago, when Colin Hodgson won one of his wrenches, I was up in Manitoba later on, and I'd seen it, and it was funny because it was on his display case next to like his Grand Slam stuff and some other stuff, and I was like, wow, that's neat.
It's a neat
right
trophy.
to be a part of that, though,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So there's been a couple other stories over the years. I know you'd mentioned John Morris earlier. His was confiscated at one point by airport security.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, I'm sure the TSA appreciates the longevity of this event now, because the first couple of years you're going through with 4 crescent or 4 wrenches, a lot of explaining to do. Typically people have like scorpion suckers or a sombrero. Nobody's bringing a wrench back through a TSA. But getting back to the game here, it's fairly conservative game. Everybody's been trying to roll behind that guard. John wisely is saying, nope, we're not going to allow you to do that, Epping, and keeping that guard, to play away from that guard. Now, do they take on the cross house? Nope.
it looks like they're going to try and come around, maybe down, and outturn. So the velvety tones of Sean Murray and I were talking about this yesterday. Teams going on the wide side, and the reasons we like it. And I think mixing it up at this point is a good call, in my opinion.
I totally agree. We haven't seen a shot this far out. It should track as they would expect, and if they can get just a little bit of a flop, kind of end up where the OT is there in Coyotes, force John to not just give a nice easy hit. And it's nice that the Horgan brothers can stay playing together as a group, eh?
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
is this gonna?
That's probably a little too much pace for what they were wanting to do.
Yeah, I thought they were going to actually hit and roll, but I guess if you leave it back 8, maybe that yellow comes in as a jam.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe what the call ended up being. And we don't have access to hear what they're discussing, but you come around that wide side. If it buries, it buries. If it stays out, you set up the jam, right? And unfortunately, they kind of got neither of those.
Yeah, that was maybe a tweener.
Yeah,
for sure. So Schuster's sitting 1 and 2. Yeah, the force is certainly on.
Absolutely, and kind of like we mentioned yesterday, any team would be happy at this point to trade 2 for 1s.
Yep.
Right, any game, all day. So,
especially on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But depending where they leave this, somebody makes a double, and now it's.
Yeah, it can switch. Yeah, it can switch. Let's see here. This one. Back 8.
Yeah, I think they probably originally wanted it more flat with the one above the tee line, but instead deciding to bring it back.
Yeah. And John here calling the same shot, which is great. Like, if you can give the player the same shot, to give him the ability to and the time to adjust. just say, okay, same shot, just 3 feet less. It's a great opportunity. Because the deuce still is in play. Nice delivery. Yep. Looks like is it over curling a bit? No, looks like it's curling quite nice. See, they paper that guard. Lots of room. Chris Ply's coming down to it. Great shot. Yep. So now decision time for John. Does he chase it? He's still,
And I think the answer is yes, you need to. The one you'd be protecting back 8 isn't great.
Right.
Coming down to it on this outside side, you have a better opportunity versus throwing the in-turn off the center line. So yeah, now the question is, how deep do you come? Right? Do you try and bury it around there and stay north of the tee line, or do you come all the way down to it? Trying to steal versus force.
Sure. Well, yeah. Well, and there you go. You hear a lot of teams, a lot of players talk about tolerance. I know some coaches hate that. Because it gives a player maybe an out, I suppose. But even if John comes down to it, it's going to force John to do the in-turn to come around. So. Looks like a little bit of line, a little bit of curl.
All the way up with it, Matt. All the way up.
Yeah. Does the trick. Shusha sitting 4. John now, does he, knowing what he knows, they're going to want to probably, once that rock is parallel to that guard, they're going to want to sort of carve that around. They got to get a bigger chunk of that 8 foot. Really kind of hide this. Nice positive release.
Yep. Well, wait only. It's always curl action. No, line's good. Line's great.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty darn good. With obviously Schuster in a bit of the driving seat here, they can kill that yellow, kill the red, just hit the crotch and still be sitting in the same spot they were a second ago. So it's, it's always, you see newer curlers not always having that fight. Do you go super aggressive the first couple ends, or do you just play conservative and sort of take what the rocks give you?
Yeah, I don't know the answer. I'm not going to pretend to. My personal philosophy is just kind of always take what the stones give you. Something will develop, right? Mm-hmm. But it's been a couple of years since I've played in a level of this where the shot precision is as critical as it is.
Agreed. Yeah, like see, here's kind of to our point here. So it looks like John's trying to be a little aggressive, saying, okay, let's switch this around a little bit. Let's do the in-turn. Let's see if we can get down to, half behind that guard. And again, that guard, who knew, they've been trying to stay away from that guard all in, except for now. So John's being a little aggressive here. Going to force John to make a good draw for 1. Looks like it needs to curl just a little bit, or else John may have an opportunity to tap that out to get his deuce. Well, decision time. I think that shot's there for a nose hit to take the deuce. Looks like that's what they're going to call. It does need a whole lot of weight here. It needs something that is going to track a little bit, and then at the end, we can get Jake to carve that over a bit if need be. Going for the nose hit. Looks like it's going fine.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I think both teams are happy with that, right? Schuster got the force, Epping got a point.
Yep. Everybody wins.
Move on to the third, and it's still a manageable game.
Yes.
There's an old saying in golf tournaments: you can't win a tournament on Thursday, but you can lose it.
Yep. Great point.
Same thing with some of these games, right? Like if you can keep it close for 4 or 5 ends, and then you can kind of take your chances,
yes.
right? But over the last few years, we've started to see more and more, aggressive come around, and I think that's the intended, result of the no-tick rule.
Oh, absolutely, for sure.
But, with that, you're also seeing some games only go 4 or 5 ends.
Yes.
Because people are having to take chances. They're having to play run backs or whatever when,
yes.
They probably would have thrown a tick and left themselves a couple of corner guards or,
so many rocks in play, so many opportunities to score. Yeah, no, absolutely. And so to your point, holding John to 1 there, obviously Schusty, they're going to go hard for their deuce here. It'll be interesting to see how. Well, I would think Epping is going to play this a little bit more aggressive,
right? Like that, if they can steal now, and then it's 2-2 or
yep.
Or again you get a force and then you go back to get your deuce. It's a tie game either way at that point.
Yes.
So
yeah. And then we could talk about statistics. About the the percentage. The team who gets the deuce in the first is what 70-80% likely to win. But then that note, the 5 rock rule certainly has changed that. Albeit not too much, but certainly you're not out until the scoreboard really shows that you're out.
So we have the hat question out to the crowd.
Yep.
Here's another question I'm going to ask you, and we'll ask this to the audience as well.
Okay.
If you could change one rule in curling, wave a wand, what is it?
Wave one rule.
Or create a rule, whatever, your choice. Or it doesn't even necessarily have to be a rule. Like the one I mentioned the other day that I wish we'd go to 1 hack.
Oh yeah, they did that a while back in the Euros, right?
They tried it, yeah.
And I, being a left-handed curler, a left-handed thrower, and you a right-handed thrower, that makes a lot of sense. Like poor Kennedy, Marchetti, and I, we have to scooch in on that hack.
But you get fresh ice.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. I guess I'd like I'd like for us to measure our own rocks. Like I don't think we need to have the gendarme or the umpires in measuring rocks. I think we could get rid of that. I think there's enough spirit of curling and camaraderie, and everybody knows at this level how to swing a measuring stick. I think I'd like to get rid of that.
Okay.
Yeah. Only because I was at a tournament one time. It was for the finals. Came down to a measure. I had again volunteer umpire, great person. She couldn't. She put the measuring stick down the wrong spot. She couldn't get around my rock, so she moved my rock out of the way to swing the measuring stick
instead of adjusting.
Yes, and then she put the rock back, and who knows what. So, needless to say,
you painted the picture.
Yeah, so maybe that's where it's coming from. So, Epping obviously with the staggered guards being aggressive. Looks like there's still room to come around that and maybe go back button and keep the pressure on.
Yeah, Schuster electing to come around and try and beat Epping to where they want to be. Good shot overall. Maybe wanted a little deeper. Maybe happy with it where it's at. We'll know more in a few stones.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I love that John can look so good. Like right now, I don't know if he's getting ready to chop a cord of wood, because he wears the flannel quite well. You see all the toques and mitts and stuff out there.
Yeah. I believe it's because they came in from the nice weather, not because it's that cold in our ice house.
You're right.
But I could be wrong.
Yeah, it looks like we have, on the chat, looking at that, banned stopwatches. What's your take on stopwatches?
So I know there's been discussion on this, and I've had some insight and shared opinions. I mean, I know they're digital, but to me, they're a mechanical device. I like to trust my eyes, even though as I'm getting older, I'm progressing to the bifocals.
Sure.
But I think instead of tinkering with some other things, I like the idea. The rules say no mechanical devices. To me, I think you could make an argument that it is one. Having said that, we're concerned about number of blank ends and rock rules and all this. Banning stopwatches is something I would like to at least see tried at maybe an event or a slam, and just really see where we're at.
That's interesting. Yeah, and then you think about development of curling, like how do, obviously at a U5 under 5 person, if it's used correctly, is a really good tool.
Yep.
To help them figure out 4-second ice, 15-second hog to hog, whatever you're using. So I think there's some times where it's maybe okay.
Yeah.
And then maybe you age out of it at certain events, right?
Yeah. No, I it's something I think would be, in my opinion, worth exploring.
I agreed. Good sweep in there by McMillan.
And thank you for the comment.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we got another listener says, go back to corn brooms. Whew.
I think you overestimate how good a shape I'm in.
Yeah, I started, I cut my teeth on corn brooms. My gosh, I used to stick in the back of the toilet to have it soak up water so it didn't just crumble like a handful of spaghetti. But yeah,
I don't know
there's
if they
something
do
romantic about it. But
I agree.
It's tough.
And I don't know if they still do it, but I know for a year or two or three, the Denver Curling Club had a corn broom spiel where that was it. Like, there were no modern brushes.
Wow, the noise and the pick level just had to be monstrous.
It was fun.
Wow.
Like a little bit of a throwback.
yeah. Well, new sweepers, the U5 sweepers would have to appreciate,
Yeah,
what
and
they have now.
And being in Arizona, we have a fair number of curlers retired, and from the Midwest, Canada, and all that. A lot of people that played with a lot of corn brooms over the years. And you hear stories about, well, this guy used to intentionally use a dry broom to leave chafe on the ice and all that. So, they were intentionally wanting our stones to pick. So I don't know that going back to that would be a very viable option. Again, the romanticism of it is nice.
Yes.
Having a spiel here and there where you do something like that would be enjoyable.
Fun. Yeah. We gotta harken back to the roots.
Yeah.
Some people still wear kilts. So it'd be something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another viewer says,
compelling.
well, it's put some thought into this. Would be all major curling matches are required to be televised. Ooh. Well, I think televised.
Media's changed.
Yeah, media has changed. For sure, the amount of curling that's on the internet today versus 5 years ago, let alone, back when Al Gore created the internet.
Yeah.
Back in the day is tremendous. Yeah,
and I'll say this. We do what we can with the technology we have. There's certainly clubs that have better. We're trying to provide the best we can, but there's also clubs that I'll be honest could step up.
Yes.
Right. And as far as getting like a television crew here and stuff in Arizona, it's just tricky. How do you resource that? Where would we show it on?
Yeah.
How
do you pay for it? Right.
Yeah. But I agree. It would be nice. I would love to be sitting in the comfort of my home watching this on a the big TV, which you can do through TV YouTube apps and
Right,
whatnot. But
right.
I'll be honest, you probably get somebody better commentating than the two of us. But here's who you got.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you work with what you got. So, yeah, what do we got here? So it looks
All right.
like John's going to clear out the front. It's getting a little messy. We got a couple staggered reds and yellows in the 8-foot. So let's see if he can run back something. Well, great result. Cleans up just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, Epping electing to hit this, choose to sit 2, and then, kind of like we talked about going into this end, Epping gets a force.
Yep.
All of a sudden now it's, they get their deuce, you're happy, right?
Exactly right. Then you have, 4 ends to go, 5 ends to go. It's more manageable for sure. Yeah. Looks like Megan Edwards. She's on the pro side of live streaming, and I don't think Megan may be have the award for most live stream internet games watched. I only know that because every time I'm on watching a game, Megan's in there too. So
Should we submit that to Guinness?
well, I think so. I think she's right up there. So, but yeah, I think both. Yeah.
I see the merits in both,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
The fancy production, the Curling Nights in America, the TSN coverage, the Slam coverage is phenomenal. I just don't know how, until curling gets a legitimate cash infusion,
Right.
how you make that a sustainable model.
Yeah, we need like NHL money or NBA money or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, agreed. All right, so the guards are gone. The decision time. Do you throw a guard? Do you split the house? Because there's obviously
Come around, try and shrink the scoring zone.
Yeah, big decision here, and this is where the team's experience is really going to come into play.
Again, looks like John's electing to come around the wide side versus the intern.
Yeah, maybe a small hit and roll. Force John to maybe do the run on the red. Nope. Yeah, my mistake. Just be a guard. Just be a little bit on the high side of that one on the 8-foot. Sort of take away the one that's back on the 8.
Yeah, I think if you could Christmas tree in there and get them all in a line, sit kind of where the small yellow triangle is.
Yeah, looks like they're trying to put where the SKA is in the Kowalska. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I've often, when I've been in these situations, I've tried to find the oval curling stone where I want to try to take away everything.
Yep.
But fortunately, you got to pick that. It maybe curled just a little bit more than he would have wanted, but still a great shot. It's going to force John to do the. He's going to try to want to get a big bite of that 4, for sure. Oh my gosh! So this may be my favorite rule.
Okay.
The see here, Cameroon 8995 says only the thirds and the skips are able to discuss any shot in the house. No front end players in the house ever. And I think if he could have capitalized ever, or this person could have capitalized ever, sometimes committee can be a little much.
Yeah, it can impact the pace of play. A weekend like this, we don't have nobody's on a clock. When you're on a clock, I personally don't see what the harm is, as long as they play within the amount of time. Your team dynamic's good. Then I guess my question follow up to that would be, what was it, Sigfridsson years ago? She would throw lead stones and then skip the game. So how does that play in? Is she lead or is she skip at that point? You know, like, I know she's designated as skip, but she's throwing front end stones.
Sure. Well, probably I guess we'd have to tailor that to be whoever's controlling the house.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
But I like the ideas. I like that people are chiming in, commenting.
Yeah, well, I think we should screen capture this and send it over to Curl Canada and USA Curling and maybe even the WFG and there.
Yeah.
So, another...
And no hat comments yet, huh?
No.
Huh. Okay.
No.
I thought somebody would have an opinion on a hat.
Yeah, that one didn't land. No.
Oh, fair.
Maybe the bison hat was too strong.
Maybe.
Trying to get a little bit of carving, as much action as they can.
What if we called it a chapeau? Would that help?
Well, some folks would. Yeah, that might do it. Well, nice shot by John. Gets a decent amount of roll. Gets a big chunk of that four. Any outturn attempt at that rock, you're probably losing your shooter.
Force is on, right?
Yeah,
Your last stone of the end, and he's essentially got to bite the white.
Yeah, bite the white.
Right on the Broken Broom Lounge logo.
Absolutely, where there's never a bad shot at the Broken Broom Lounge. Yeah. All right, final shot by John. See if you can. The force is on, but a well played end by Epping to get to this point.
Absolutely, right? Doing what he needs to do to bounce back. To
They're going on a little feverishly. Is it checking up on him? No.
Well executed force.
Yep, absolutely.
Nice draw.
Yeah. So to your point, you're up two. Epping now, in an even end, goes for his deuce. You're right back on track.
Yep.
Bob's your uncle. Yep. And the pace of play has actually been quite good.
Yeah, both these teams are, they're kind of, for as many stones as they usually have in play, they do make decisions fast.
Yeah, we were talking in the warm room earlier, and a lot of these skips, and Epping is no stranger to this. But certainly Schuster, you don't even have to have us just talk about the shot selection. John says, "Well, we got this, we got this, we got this, we got this, and here's what'll happen." Like he's almost like a fortune teller in there.
Yeah, and going back to the TV coverage aspect earlier, that's one of those things that they do have the luxury of is they can have the skips or the skips and the thirds mic'd up, so we can hear the conversation, as opposed to us kind of speculating at times with just where the broom is at.
Yeah.
Or what they're tapping.
Yeah, we got to your comment. We got the "J'aime le chapeau de mat." Of course,
I need your help with that one. I'm not going to lie; it sounds delicious.
It says, "I love Matt's hat."
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
So Matt's hat, okay.
Yeah. Well done.
So that's the go-to, the tie-dye Green Bay Packers hat.
Yeah, that's it. That's the. All right, Ian's first shot's away. Scrubbing a little hard. Trying to get a little bit of.
I mentioned this to Team Epping the other day, and I mentioned on the broadcast the other day, and, I know you comment on the flannel, but in general, over the years, going back to the Purple History Channel jerseys and that, Team Epping has always had just some elegant, good-looking jerseys.
Yes.
Just classy.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Every year, same sponsors, different sponsors, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
They always
sharp.
they always bring the attire.
Yeah. Back in the 100 years ago, it was nothing but pace setter jackets. It was all that parachute material. Not flattering.
Back in the Great Wind Wars.
Yeah, and then when Mondetta came out, Mondetta was sort of the first one that sort of, out of Winnipeg, brought the uniform game up a whole
Yeah.
bunch.
Yeah, they went from like a 2 to a 7 or an 8, and
yeah,
now
it was-
it's,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and now with all the different manufacturers they have out there, the teams are looking pretty good for sure. It's costly though. Like you want to make sure you have a team that sticks around, or else you could have,
Or good sponsors.
or good sponsors. Yeah. So the corner guard goes up for Epping. They're going to come around, freeze. Obviously, they're going to be going hard for their 2 this end.
Yeah, and a pretty solid setup by Team Schuster to start, and a great come around there as well by
Absolutely.
Epping's team. And
Yeah, absolutely.
this is setting up for some of the fireworks we talked about.
Yes.
Halfway in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is the time to do it. Midway point. And then just statistically, you go in, to the 4th end break. Not that we're going to have much of one, but tied. 4 ends to go. New game. You can kind of just all look at each other and say, "Yep, things are going as we expect." Yeah, nice just throwing rock. Yeah, once. Decision time now. Yeah, do you throw one more rock in there, or do you get rid of that yellow guard? And probably one more red in the house wouldn't be bad, since that last thrown yellow is sticking out just a little bit. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, I think, you throw backline space weight might be a good call here. Tap that yellow, tap into the red, that other yellow back. You might get to roll off a little. You're sitting shot under a couple of guards.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you something to work with potentially.
Yep. Yeah, try and get that to the nose. Yeah, well, we're setting up for a good end here. Lance on the chat says, "I want to go to uniform standards." He doesn't like Jacobs unis with all the logos, and I think from a player's perspective, the logos, I
So
agree.
I'll ask
Yeah.
Jake this:
Yeah.
what would your standard be? Is it a number of teams? Is it one logo on the front and a name on the back? I'm not opposed. Just curious to know what your standard would be.
Yeah, like one on the chest, one across from the heart, or
A
whatever.
sleeve, you're
Sleeve,
required to
yeah.
wear like a country flag. What's your standard?
Yeah.
Again, not opposed. Just want to know.
Yeah, no, that'd be interesting. Yeah, but I think from the player's perspective, nobody's making $1 million curling, right? So if you can get
They're making 2.
if you
No.
if you get a few $100 from this sponsor and a couple $1,000 from this other sponsor, and the season starts so early and they run so late now, it's super expensive.
And I do agree, though. Some of them can look very busy.
Oh yeah,
And it's
like NASCAR, right?
almost, NASCAR, a little distracting,
Mm-hmm.
right? Mm-hmm. So I understand the perspective for sure.
Yeah, the logos pays the bills. Another viewer says, so that's absolutely the truth. Yeah. Well, it looks like they're coming through that port. Does it have the steam? It sure does.
What a fantastic shot.
Great shot.
I'm going to downgrade that to good shot. It needed. You're right about the steam comment, right? I think they were hoping to push that back a little bit more.
Yeah, because then you get the hit in the flop.
Yeah.
Out to maybe the 8 foot. So this is going to get congested. Maybe leave 3 red rocks in the 4 foot area. Yeah. Thank you. We got a Hansen and the Adam End commented that they both say you should get a raise.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't know what a multiplier of 0 is, but I'll take it.
There you go. Take the win.
Despite having many years in aerospace, math is not my strong suit.
this one's a little quiet too. Nice delicate shot. Just trying to rearrange some. Just touches it. Just nibbles that guard as it goes by. Just papers it.
You know, I wonder now if there's a play on that yellow where you can kind of push that over into the red that's shot stone, flop under. I don't know. Well, I'm curious to see. I mean, obviously it warrants discussion. To the dismay of Cameroon, I apologize for the rest of the username. I don't have it pulled up, but the front end chiming in on this shot, their opinion. But, you know, I think there again, you know, you win as a team, you lose as a team. There are certain shots where team discussion is valid.
Yes. Yeah, agreed. So this is one of those busy ends where,
which we're expecting to see more.
Oh, yeah, a little 6-second shot can rearrange these things like crazy. We may have to look up. We have one user, Ann, says she's seen a lot of ice houses from BC all the way to Zurich, and our rings get the Wooden Spoon Award. I hope that's good.
Well, I remember my mom with a wooden spoon, and it usually wasn't. So I'm assuming maybe she thinks they look a little busy.
Well,
you know, we should get our hands slapped for them. I don't know.
We might have to Google that. The Wooden Spoon Award. Yeah, because it was never, to your point, it was never an award. If I got the wooden spoon, it wasn't.
Right.
You've done good. Yeah. All right. So it looks like I would think here Chris is being asked to just angle raise that a little bit closer for shot stone. Make this a little bit more tough on.
You know, I was in a fantasy football league years back, and we had caught a little too close to nose, hoping to angle that over more. But in the fantasy football league, we had a wooden spoon award. But that was for like the person who always stirred the pot the most.
Oh,
you know, in the group chat. Like so, week to week, it was kind of like the person who kind of, you know, like your team sucks, your team this, you know, kind of you know, just stirred the pot. Oh yeah, you know, the Cowboys, you know, this, or the Vikings that. So yeah,
made things interesting.
Yeah, or you tried to, right?
Oh, so sadly, Courtney Flick confirmed your suspicions. Yeah, wooden spoon is not good.
What doesn't she like about our rings?
Oh, I don't know.
Is it the color? Is it too busy? Tough to tell who's sitting shot over, or is she just like the traditional
like red,
sainted painted?
Red and blue? Yeah. Well, you know, with the Arizona flag and the red and yellow and the red and yellow rocks, I can see how it could be a little.
You know, because I think back to a few years ago when I played in the DeKalb Super Spiel, and they had a couple of cool rings there. There was a big buffalo one, and there was
probably a tartan, shield,
Montana or excuse me, a Manitoba flag ring, and they were neat. They were busy. It was cool, right? But I wonder if like the same opinion is held on those rings as opposed to ours.
Yeah, that's a good point. So it looks like we need to try to get to the inside of that rock that's on the top 4 to try to hit the shot 2 out the back, roll the shot 4 out to the left somehow. And I guess that does do the job, but do you ever just try to paper off of that red rock that was just thrown in the like it was just thrown, redirect the yellow 2 shot, right there.
Yep, I think instead of the redirect, I think, so there's the paper you were talking about, right?
Goodness gracious.
You know, Schuster's thinking, hey, let's just draw down to it with a, T-line back 4.
Yeah.
Chris is saying, hey, let's redirect off, maybe with like back 8. Right?
Yeah, but I don't, if you're...
I mean, it's tough to tell from... Oh, okay, never mind. I was going to say, it's tough to tell from the overhead here.
But if you're Epping, how do you get 2 out of this? Like
for sure, right?
Those yellows are not your friends right now.
I bet you it's the font. If she hasn't replied back yet. Is it the Western font?
Nothing yet.
Okay.
But Adam End says that if you put the rocks just right, you can hide a couple rocks in the top 12.
That's by design.
Yeah. Well, remember what slam was it? The Tim Hortons cups.
Yep.
Players were tripping over those.
They used
all
the
game.
dark. It was the dark roast game. They had
yeah.
the one sheet with the dark roast cups, and
People were just eating it all game.
Yeah. No, and you're not wrong. From the overhead, it's tricky to see. I will say this, having played here many times. At ice level, there really isn't a whole lot of hiding stones on the rings.
Right.
But I understand the sentiment again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And from watching from home, it can be, there's one there that we missed.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to ask another question.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Traditionally, most clubs use red and yellow handles. Having said that, I've played with blue, green, one set of orange.
Mm-hmm.
What is your go-to color sets?
Ooh.
If you're starting a curling club and you get to choose the color of handles you want, what are you using?
Well, I guess I'm a little old-fashioned. I do like the red and yellow.
Okay.
I'm particular to that.
Yep, the ketchup and mustard.
Yeah, it kind of works out.
The lemons and apples.
Yeah, I think I've seen they did one. I forget what slam it was in Canada, where they did black and white. They did another one where it was yellow and black for Halloween.
Yep, that was the one where Gushu fell and
hit his eye. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So some of them can be a little tough.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did play with the party rock.
Yeah.
When I was in Vegas. That was bedazzled with gemstones. That was a trip.
Yep. For those of you that don't know, look up the LMFAO video on YouTube.
Right.
After this game.
Right. Yeah. You want to look at the song's called "Why."
Yeah. Great little tap raise there. Tough to tell who shot.
Yeah. So if you're John, do you try to pinball your way around those three yellows? Or do you... too bad you couldn't hit... You see, in the eighth you got that red, yellow that are locked on.
Yeah.
That'd be like a nice pool shot. If that guard that we threw in the very first, opening end of this... Yeah. That's tough. Or do you redirect that red that's on the top 8? Now they're looking at it because it's
a tight spot.
Yeah, because right now Epping's shot, and there's not a whole lot. There's so much jiggle that could happen in that house.
Well, and we have 5 stones left, right? So, we could just see some heat come down in a moment or two, and next thing you know, there's just 3 stones in the house, and everything's scattered, and all of this mess is for naught.
Yeah, for naught. Yeah, but this, I want this to work out really well. But in my experience, these could go very bad as well.
Yeah.
Like best intentions and all that, but looks like they're trying to redirect, get some. Well, it creates a run back double. But if you're John now, do you? Because obviously that red rock, for the Epping stone that's on the top 8, that's their salvation rock, right?
Yep.
So do you guard the yellow that's the high up, out of the house, or do you come around?
Yeah, based on where. Yep, right there. I was gonna say, based on where John was pointing with his room before he kind of skated up the tap down. I think that's the takeaway, right? Here again, that port it's there. If we had your oval stone you talked about, might be helpful.
Yeah,
but
because right now you're sitting third. Well, probably 2. I don't think that yellow's counting at the back, and it looks like we got purple and brown to make it atrocious. At least that's a self-check comment. And we've got blue and yellow or red and yellow. Blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow, yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
It looks like one of our friends from California just had a discussion about this. He said it went to a vote between green, blue, red, and yellow combinations, and we stuck with the classics. Well, you can never go wrong with that.
Yeah.
You know, tux, pearls, black dress, like they're
Yep.
classics for a reason, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Line will be fine. Easy there. Right off there.
sweeper sink, this has got plenty. Need to get it just touching the center
Yeah,
line.
this has a little more weight than kind of where they had tapped, so they're probably going to just chip off and roll over a touch, and
left it an opening. So obviously the run back raise here, right? The run back raise double. Because what else? You've got nothing else to come off of.
Well, I think it's Epping's first. I think you probably just clear out those 2 yellows at this point, right? Since that's deeper than you want it now, because then they can only put 1 back up.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, or do you try it now? You might get lucky.
Yeah,
Well, we'll see.
yeah, we're gonna find out in a hurry.
Yeah, and then of course, you know, in turn, out turn, it's gonna make a difference where that rock's trajectory goes once it's struck. Obviously, they want to run it back at that 7 o'clock. What does in turn?
Sweeping for curl, sweeping to keep it straight. You feel they're close. Look at
Look at
that.
that, perfect. And look at that, you've got like flip flop. Now you've got Schuster kind of in the same boat, right? You know, John's got to use his yellow that's up there by the Kowalska logo. Run
Or he's
that
got to
back,
decide to come around.
or come around. Yeah,
And the problem is, if you're deep, they just sit on you. Yep, and now it looks
Yeah.
like he's tapping
Yeah.
basically that same.
same shot. Yeah. And there's so much respect for every player at this level.
Oh yeah,
You know,
the only stones that can't hurt you are the ones in the well, right?
right. Ooh. We got a few more rock
Okay.
handles. Argent and azure. Argent. I think that's like a red.
Okay, and azure seems blue. Azul.
Blue, yeah,
Azure,
azure, yeah,
okay.
it's blue, yeah. Goodness. Green, very good. Ha! All right. Well, we got a lot of great ideas.
Yeah.
All right, big shot from John coming up. Trying to.
Yeah, his last of the end here.
Maybe is it a little out there?
Look at that. Oh, unlucky with the jam, but
Unlucky.
and Epping now has basically a wide open draw to full 8
Yep.
to get his 2, and it should be
Yep.
3-3 after 4, and
Yep. It's a
You know,
brand
it's-
new ball game.
yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think John was a little unhappy with that shot, but I don't think that was his fault. It looked like that rock. It was maybe a little wider than he wanted, but it looked like the yellow that he hit got redirected off of
Yeah.
that Epping stone. So,
Yeah, they're maybe a little more locked than they realized, or
I don't think it was a bad shot by John at all. So. But again, curling never ceases to amaze me.
So, real quick, I got a text.
Oh,
I know, forget about the comments at the moment.
okay.
Belfast and Maine, which I'm somewhat familiar with.
Uh-huh.
Red, yellow, and blue.
Ooh.
So they must have a mishmash of handles from over the years as
Yeah.
they, acquired stones or whatever. But, here we are thinking binary, right? Like, what 2 colors? And, this texture just opened me up to something.
Open your eyes.
Yeah.
Well, reimagine what could be. Well, great end. I wasn't too sure that 2 would be happening out of that end, but some great.
coming into skip stones, right? Like, so
good.
yeah,
So good.
A couple of fantastic shots there by Team Epping in the
Yes.
last half of the end to get them where they needed to be
Yeah.
and tie this game up.
Yeah, and talk about that takes obviously experience, some personal fortitude, not giving up. Like again, things weren't dire, but fabulous. Okay, well, 0-0 for all intents and purposes. 4 ends to go. And we can see the level of shot making and the difficulty, as we sort of mentioned earlier at the start of this, is starting to ratchet up. You know, I suspect it should be tight all the way through to the 8th end. Great rock. Yeah. What do you think, Eric? Are you a fan of if you're going to throw lead stones on the center line?
Yep.
Do you like to throw one, you know, in the 3 zone, you know, the last third, and then come back with the easy one, or do you like throwing the high guard and coming around?
Yeah. So you know, we kind of talked about that a little bit. On yesterday's game. You know, 3 is obviously kind of the preferred in general. 2 is kind of no man's land because if you want to put a second one up, it's either tough to you're either too high, or it's tough to get another one to bury short of the rings, right?
Right.
So my preference, you know, having played many years of lead, is a 3.
Yeah.
You know, there obviously the downside is if you're a little heavier in the rings and they can hit it at this point, right? As the game has changed. So
Right.
but yeah.
Agreed.
You know, if I could put one out there. So, a follow-up on the Belfast comment. 1 sheet is red-yellow, 1 sheet is red-blue, and the 3rd sheet is yellow-blue. So, it's a 3-sheet club. And if anybody from Belfast, Maine is listening and they need storage solutions, this is a shameless plug. I'm going to suggest Mid-Maine Storage in Corinna, Maine. I know the owner. Fantastic guy. Yep.
Wow.
So...
Look, you just dropping knowledge like that, and your geography of Maine.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I should never doubt that you wouldn't know that. So there we go. Just to our earlier discussion about the guard placement, was able to get that in, you know, sort of like, you know, you're biting the 2-3 zone, if you will. Just really good spot. Maybe a touch close together, I suppose, but actually not bad. That first one from Matt, maybe not as deep as you want. He's going to try it again, try to get to the top 4.
Yeah, I guess the good news is there, right? Like, it's high enough that there's still room to come around again, or more.
Yep. Yeah, this one looks like they're going hard on too. I don't know if it's got the legs to get there. It looks like it's over curling. It might catch that guard. Not sure if it glanced as it went by, but as we say, got a pair of pants there. Let's see here. Be nice just to get to the low side of that rock. Just tuck in a little bit behind those guards. Nicely done. Yeah, got the nice little kick over to the left, or to the right, pardon me.
Yep, and now I think we're kind of seeing that bail point, right, with this much action up front. Looking to clear a couple of these out, keep the rings open, and, you know, the way this is set up at the moment, probably potentially playing for a blank, or at least at a minimum not giving up a steal.
Yes. Yeah, the red yellow at the top of the 12 can be problematic.
Yeah. The stagger of it, right? Like,
yes.
it's just...
Yeah, looks like John says enough of this. Gonna bail before it gets too complicated.
Just past catching the second one.
Yeah.
So we'll see if Team Epping elects to put it back up or come around now that there is a stagger.
Well, yeah, it looks like you're right. He's going to come around. Feels he knows this line a little bit. There's more good things that can happen if it over curls. Let's say he catches the red onto the yellow. Good throw. Sweepers like it. A little light cleaning.
Going a bit for curl.
Yeah.
And I think that may have caught them a little off guard.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. But again, that's probably why John said, let's go with the in turn versus the out turn. It doesn't really give John a get out of jail free card by getting rid of those reds, because obviously the yellow jam. So, or the red jam, pardon me. Looks like John's maybe discussing, let's just get rid of that, because again, those staggered guards. They will help anybody who wants them. They're not
or hurt anybody.
Or
right?
Yes, or hurt anybody. Yeah.
I personally like this call, running this red back into the other red. Mm-hmm. There's a better chance of saving your yellow that's in the rings. I think they're hoping maybe for a little more action.
Yeah.
Because now all they've really kind of done is reverse the stagger.
Right, yeah. This isn't your typical, let's go hard for a deuce, right? So I wonder if maybe Schuster was saying, okay, let's blank the 5, take the hammer in the 6.
Yeah, right. Then it's tie game, 2 hammers to 1.
Right. Yeah, so now John's saying, okay, let's... This is a quality play. It's a veteran skip move. Come around the wide side. Try to get as much of the bunny as you can. Depending on what John does, you still have that red on the left side that's unencumbered. You can run that back if you need to. So smart play. Looks like it's got enough. Keep it a little clean. Great shot. From the shooter's perspective, that's going to be pretty well buried for any right-handed player. And this kind of goes to your point. For me, being a lefty, I would think I could still probably see half of that or a quarter of that rock. So, good shot. And to your point now, running that yellow back doesn't necessarily help Team Schuster, other than it just makes that front a little bit more accessible. Great result by Chris. Yeah, well done. To your point, you wanted to try to preserve that rock that Matt Hamilton threw up in his first rock. Manages that.
Yeah, and John Epping here instantly not looking at the double, probably concerned about a jam aspect on the one that's in the back, but at the same time thinking, okay, if we get rid of this one, sitting 2 is kind of the best guard we have.
Yeah, he'd love Schuster to take 1 here.
Right.
Give him the hammer in 6 for sure. Yeah, probably a hit and flop in front of that shot stone. Yeah. I love how these teams can always see these shots, 3-4 shots in advance, and just try to execute the plan. Quiet wait. Great, doesn't flop at all. Makes the double significantly. John's not even looking at it, which is good. Interesting.
Yeah, well, now he's asking, hey, what are your thoughts on this? You know, maybe he's thinking, hey, if we hit this one in the back, and they hit it, are they gonna, you know, maybe leave us an easier double, or can we try and potentially not I don't want to say bait them in, but get a half shot where it sets up our deuce easier?
Yeah.
So we instantly see Team Epping trying to decide between two shots here. You know, one being hit the yellow at the top of the rings and flop in front of their own red, and the other being hit the yellow that's in the back 4 and roll behind their own red. There now looks like they're talking about, you know, hitting that or maybe coming down to that yellow. A little undecided on both, and there's merits.
Yeah.
I mean, they're here and we're in the room, right? So I trust that they'll come to the right decision.
Right. But if you're Epping, what, you know, leaving, I don't know, having all these opposition rocks in the house can come and bite you.
Yeah, like you're removing one. It's a matter of which one and where do you leave it so you don't leave them a double, right? You're playing for the force.
Yes.
Which, you know, to quote Russ Howard.
Oh, dear. Gear effect.
To paraphrase Russ Howard.
Yes.
You know, if you're between two shots, ask yourself, which does your opponent not want you to throw? And that's the one, right? So if you're Schuster, you're saying, okay, I want him to throw this one. And so Epping says, okay, I'm going to throw the other one.
I'll show you.
Right?
Yep.
Which is great advice for, you know, any club curler at home, any mid-level tour player, right? Just kind of ask yourself, okay, if we're between two options, you know, oh God, I really hope they don't throw this one. Well, then that's the one that...
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, no, that's very smart. Well, that's a pretty good result. You know, the double is still...
It's a tough double.
It is.
You risk jamming on your own. Both your stones... And the thing I like about the call that they made is both their stones are above the tee line.
Yes.
If you were to have hit the one in the back and you get any roll, you're behind the tee line. If you nose it, you're on the tee line.
Yeah, you got a jam, you got freeze, you got... Yeah. What's that saying? You can't make shots behind the tee any better.
Yep. Yeah. Very, very rare.
Yeah.
Unless you're, was it Rick Folk or no? Who was it? Pat Ryan.
Yes,
Pat Ryan. You know, yeah, that's close.
Same era.
Right.
Which is good. Yeah. No, that's good.
In some senses, I'm very old, and in other senses, I'm very young.
What's that?
I said, in some senses, I'm very old. Well, I think, but in some senses, I'm very young. Right?
Yeah, you've got a. What do you say that? Old soul.
Yeah.
Very worldly.
At least regional.
Well, so it looks like they're going to try to just paper that shot 3, redirect it over top of their yellow, and hopefully stick around in maybe the mid 8 foot and kick shot 2 out the back right by Chris's right foot. So it's a good shot. Puts 2 in play.
Yeah.
If they make it.
Yeah.
This one's got some steam. Hopefully it sticks around the shooter. Sure does.
Well executed.
Well
Five
executed.
out of 5.
5 out of 5, yeah.
Right? Tough
Yeah.
double. Got rid of both those stones.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. How many viewers are we up to? Just curious.
523.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, 521. We lost a couple because of the rock handle comments.
Okay.
But-
Fair. Of those 521,
Yeah.
another question for you. How many of you have been here or played here? Bonspiel, recreational, subbed in a league,
Yeah.
maybe played in the wrench?
Yeah.
Be curious to know.
Yeah.
And if you've been to Phoenix and you haven't been here, why?
What's stopping you? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So here we're gonna do just. This is close. It's really close. Ah, just a little thing. Great attempt. So,
Yeah, and I think you kind of needed to take that on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Because giving up 2 here is not is not the worst thing, not at all. So you get your deuce. You still get the hammer back in 6.
Yep.
You still have a chance to go bring it to even again. So
Yep, and I like taking that double on from the standpoint of, even if you were to if hitting those, they have an open hit for their 2 still, right?
But they have to make it.
Yeah, exactly. But hitting this and rolling out, it's still 2.
yes.
Right? You hit, the primary objective was to get rid of 1. You could do that multiple ways, but taking the double on maybe allows the force or brings the blank in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hate to sound like a broken record again, but just the shot management and the rock management of this end has been just great.
Yes.
Yeah. To allow both teams to potentially either get out of it or get what they want. So looks like the sweepers are going hard. They got to get just a nibbler.
And that is an unforced error.
It's unfortunate. Maybe Colin thinks maybe it picked on something, maybe, or
Yeah, they're curious to know, catch the slide path, didn't get a time they liked, did it pick? But potentially a game changer.
yeah, this could be that. This could be the pivotal end. Like whenever I miss these, it's always like 3 putting or 4 putting. You're
Yep.
like, you're leaving points on the table. Yeah. Well, it's unfortunate, but if you're again after such a well played end, that really deserved to be a 2. So okay, well, game on. So obviously John and Co will be going hard for the deuce.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd be curious to see if Schuster goes hard for a steal now to try and make that point up that they just kind of
Left
let
out
slip.
there.
Yeah.
That's good. Do you want to bring one?
I think so. So here we are, start of the 6th end. Team Schuster up 4-3. Matt Hamilton throwing lead stones. And solid weight, just off the center line. Team Epping choosing to ignore it altogether, and electing to put up a corner guard.
Well, to your earlier question, looking at the comments, we've got a number of folks have played here. Some of the names you would know.
Oh,
Oh, and we have our European viewer, another one anyway, Ron Cloth.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
Ron.
Ron, good to see you.
Happy to hear you're watching.
Absolutely, yeah.
I had an orange blossom about 2 weeks ago and thought of you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, well, we got another person who had a friend buy them a shirt when they were in town.
Nice.
That's good.
Yeah, you know what?
Appreciate the support.
I'll do this at the moment. Hey, shirts when you're here. Do it. Stickers. The merch we have available. Having said that, also follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Right? I feel like we haven't been pushing that enough this weekend. That's probably on me a bit.
Yeah.
With Daryl, who's sitting by my side here, does a fantastic job with it. Keeps it fun.
Yeah.
Expect some stuff early this week.
Yes.
A little teaser. We got a good one coming out.
Oh, it's gonna be great. The material that you the idea you told me about is.
Yep, and it's something that every curler can relate to.
Yeah, I think on TikTok it's gonna go viral like on the 20th.
Nice.
So, corner guard, center guard, not on the center line, so it can be taken out of play, or it can be ticked. Yeah, again, another solid setup. I can't get any better than that. So what's your thought, Eric? And maybe the folks at home can weigh in this too. We in the olden days you'd put a corner guard on one side, corner guard on the other side. Now at the slam level you see two corner guards if you're really behind. John has thrown up two corner guards in this game. Was only able to use really one. What do you think of that? Is it?
So, as somebody who's played lead the vast majority of their career, we touched on this yesterday, I wish they wouldn't have taken away the tick shot. I think because of that, you're seeing, because they can no longer tick, you're seeing the more come around stuff. That's just my personal opinion because I got to throw them. I practiced them, and now, that weapon's out of my tool bag. It's out of my arsenal. So, I think that had a big impact, and I think it had, you really see some of the effects of it by more and more teams coming around that center guard because they know they can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Right? And, I'll say this as well, and I'm going to go off onto a little bit of a personal at the moment. I know there's been a discussion over the years about too many blank ends. Oh my God, too many blank ends. If you watch curling and you watch the shots being made to execute these blank ends, run back double takeouts and the angles and all of it, it's not the blank end of the late 70s, early 80s.
Like the hit and roll out or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
These are fantastic shots that are being
high
made.
caliber shots, yeah.
And I've often likened it to a baseball game where, seeing a no-hitter, I understand there's no home runs, but it's still equally as impressive or more so.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is,
that.
I think you have to see the appreciation in both sides of it. There's something fun to be seen for a lot of stones in play, and somebody making a hit for 3-4, drawing in for their deuce, depending on, if they got to bite the white or whatever. But when they make that same up-weight shot, run back double for a blank, the skill level it takes to make that happen and the execution and the teamwork makes for a fantastic end, even though the result is a 0.
Yeah, if you're a curling purist, you can see the finesse it took to do that. Yeah, and to add to that, I think with the doubles game and now and a lot of leagues playing triples, the ability to, like, if you think doubles is draw to the pin, unless you're doing a power play. I think that has really increased the aptitude and the comfort level of coming around to the center and then bailing out, at a good point. Yeah. Well, this game is forever changing. It took, 20 years for the first couple of changes, and it's nice to see that the changes are fairly well thought out and, we don't have to wait a decade for every change, right?
You know, there was some discussion in the warm room over the course of the weekend.
This one's over curling.
Oh yeah, hold on, I share a second. You know, not to compare curling to bowling, but something bowling does is they have different oil patterns. So the way that's set up is the ball you use and the different, you know, where essentially their break point is in different things. Managing ice is trickier than managing a bowling lane.
Amen to that. Yeah.
Having said that, they were talking about if you could do different scrape patterns or different pebble patterns, you know, and say, okay, today we're playing the Phoenix pattern, and you know, tomorrow's going to be the Penticton pattern or whatever, right?
Right.
Yeah, you know, moving the pin around on the greens, it would eliminate some of the whole like this is quote unquote too easy.
Yeah, no,
and it's not, but. Some of these players just make it look that way.
Yes, yeah.
And that's the dedication to craft.
Yep, absolutely. They throw a million rocks. They're out there practicing when they're not playing. They're, you know, spending very little time at home with their loved ones. It takes a toll. But you're right. They do make it seem pretty darn easy. Yeah, pretty darn easy. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is there, but yeah, sure glad we have this game. So things are getting interesting here. We've got one on the pin, two sort of, centerline corner guards, if you will. This one looks like it's checking up just a little. I suspect
it's a good spot.
It is a good spot.
You know, and depending on how this goes, we're halfway through the end. Epping's probably going to try and peel once or twice.
Yeah.
And, you know, if Schuster keeps putting it up, you know, Epping, I believe it was Epping, earlier in the game tried playing an angle in-off. You know, we may see something like that over that red ultimately at the end on the S from the Kowalewska, where they could potentially try to slam that in to get rid of that.
Well, it's a
yellow on the pin.
Yeah, that yellow on the pin. You get rid of that, you're sitting 3 if you're Epping.
Yeah, but I mean that's last shot at the end, right?
Yeah,
but we'll see what it takes us for us to get there.
Yeah, they're gonna have to clean up a little bit and manage these rocks pretty well. So, and again, pace of play's been pretty good. You know, this is the first sort of time John's kind of looked at the rock placement to think of all the options he's got.
Yep. Well, you know, you'd mentioned that real quick. They also have that biter, or not the biter, but the one in the back 12.
Yeah.
You know, just south of the tee line.
Yeah.
If they were to ever play that slash in, it could be for 4.
Yes.
You know, right? Like that yellow on the pin could get very lonely in a hurry.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. This is where, playing poker and chess and having some just being calm, and not, trying to win the end, at this point of the game.
Yep.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, to your point earlier, Adam End commented about getting a drunken Zamboni driver out there to kind of change up.
Bit extreme,
yeah.
But you know what? It'd make for some interesting watching.
It would. It would. That's a fairly safe shot. Kind of no harm, no foul. It's John's gonna make it to maybe a hair better, just a bit better. Because if John could ever freeze onto those 2 reds, or it's a shot 3, and sort of take away the 2 or 3 potential, yeah.
You know, it's funny. We've talked about it as a team that over the years, and some of the hardest shots to make, in our opinion, is especially as you get deeper in the end, is one is like a high guard, because you rarely do teams practice it, right? Like they practice draws and they practice this, but like if it's not deep enough, it gets pulled.
Yep.
And if it's too deep, it's no good.
Yep.
One of the other toughest things to do is to put a guard up that was there time and time again.
Yes.
To continue to protect that same stone 3-4 stones in a row is just, it's tricky.
It is tricky. And this one looks like it went a little little deep.
Right? That's probably, 4 to 6 feet deeper than what they were anticipating or wanting to do.
Yeah, Matt was going hard for the curl.
Yep, hoping to catch a piece of that.
Get a little thicker so it didn't roll so much. But it didn't necessarily hurt them. I don't think it helped them, but you certainly have that run of that yellow, red. I guess it makes the straight run easier. But I don't know if you want to do that just yet. That yellow that's just off. Oh, John, well, I guess we're going to make a run at it now. And worst case, if he runs it straight back, great.
Straight peel's okay.
If straight peel is just as good, yeah. Yeah, I love these shots where it's either one works.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for Lindsay Estabrook's clubmate reminded us the spring training spiel is coming up soon.
Yes, one of the signature. Oh, excellent result there, real quick.
Yeah, it kind of unfortunately killed
one of their own, but they're now shot. They have 2 corners, But yeah, but back to Mr. Estabrook's point, the spring training spiel, one of the signature club curler events that we have.
Mm-hmm.
The A event winners get a World Series style ring.
And people love the whole sizing of it.
It's custom. It has your name, has your year. They're an amazing little keeper. I have one myself.
Yeah, I don't think those would get the wooden spoon award. I think those would get the what's the opposite of a wooden spoon, like the silver
World Series
fork.
ring.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, and we've had people wear them to other events, up to the Briar and up to the Scotties and that stuff, and it really is
interest.
It really is something to be proud of.
And it's heavy and big like a World Series ring, too.
And something else that spiel allows people to do that you can do at no other spiel is go to a spring training game.
Yeah.
The game this season is to be determined, but it's usually the Athletics, the Giants, one of the Cactus League teams. Maybe we've done the Cubs before, the Diamondbacks, so it's an enjoyable experience all around. Hot dogs, burgers, the whole gamut, right?
A little curling in the morning, a baseball game midday, some curling in the evening, followed by the banquet,
right? Nap in there somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a win-win.
Yeah,
all the way around. Yeah. So a nice little shot there by Team Schuster. They wanted to kind of get maybe just a little bit behind those guards, but still. Looks like I would suspect now John's just let's blank this end, regroup. Well, I guess you could take one. What do you think here? Would you take one just to tie it up?
I think so, right? Because then if you can force,
hold
get your dues.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, this is one of those without having statistics in front of me.
Yes.
I struggle to know what the right answer is, and then on top of that, you still have to execute.
Yes. Perfect shot there. What a time to do that.
Yeah, I think that result, you're still trying to get 2 at this point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, but that was throwing such a, what was that, back line?
Yeah.
Very, very sweepable, very manageable weight.
They were trying to get a little more roll, but we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, and it looks like John's going to see if he can
he's chasing it.
Just peel that out.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got a catcher. This is maybe another big turning point.
Yeah.
A TSN turning point, if you will. If he catches a little, he just has to hit it.
But it'd be nice to stick around somewhere in the rings. So now Epping has to figure out what to do with 2 stones versus 1.
Yeah, agreed. So it looks like Colin Huffman's hard for the line. Looks like they will get around there by plenty of room.
All the way over the mat. All the way out.
And by rolling and locking right on top, that makes the double. John Epping has the weight to make that happen. But that is...
Yeah, it forces his hand now. Now it's just a blank. But yeah, what a great result. That's
You're going to see in a moment potentially how lively our rocks are at this club.
Yeah.
Because this is something that just
Yeah.
a lot of clubs you can't make happen.
No, totally agree. The ice is good. The running bands are nice and good. They're not chipped, and we got really great rocks. We're looking at buying a few more sets of rocks, but we got to get in before the Asians buy them all. Boom. Just like
There we
that.
go. Blank end.
Blank end, yeah. Yeah. And if John didn't have that hit and roll so perfect,
Yep.
that's not happening.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
no, that's good.
Good end.
So they've kind of flipped the script, right? Blank end in 6.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Team Schuster up, 4-3 after 6. Epping with hammer.
Yeah.
2 ends to go.
Yeah.
2025 Ed Werenich Golden Wrench Classic live
Yes. Yeah,
from
Tempe
Kylie's
area.
Curling Club.
Yeah. No, it's going to be quite interesting, because there's lots of teams that, some teams obviously they like to be up 2 going into the 8th. Some teams actually like being down 1, and then in the 7th, because then all you got to do is get 1.
Yep.
Now it's about knowing your team, knowing the stats.
We had an event with our team a number of years ago, and as well as we went back and looked at the stats, and we had done pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing was, and speaking of that, it was super counterintuitive, but we had more steals of 2 than we had deuces with hammer. Which, so in that scenario,
Right.
let's put up that center guard. Let's
Yeah.
come around. I
Yeah.
mean, we were all day, right? Like we were just,
Well, there's all
we
kinds
were,
of stats, right? Yeah.
we were the most wanted people in Minnesota at the time because of all the theft, right? It
Make
was,
sure you got your billfold.
yeah,
on you.
right.
Yeah.
Look out.
Well, there's lots of stats, right? Some teams aren't, they play really good in the evening. They don't play so good in the morning. Some teams, work hard to be down 1 going home. So, yeah, a lot of stats. And
Good for the teams that work hard, though.
I'm not sure if that one was touched. I don't think that would ever come up short or light. So that one has gone into the well. So it must have been a touchstone.
Shout out to all the people real quick,
Yeah.
here at the club
Yes.
who have bought us a couple of rounds and, helping to keep this entertained and whatnot.
Yeah.
You can look our address up if you want to Venmo us some food or Grubhub us something. We're not opposed.
Comedy Wild.
But, 'cause we're coming to winding down, but, a
Yeah.
taco would be.
A taco would be good right now.
Yeah.
They get the munchies, yeah.
Thin air bread.
Yeah. No, we got looking at the stream there. We've got a full warm room. A lot of our club curlers, and our club curlers really appreciate, the guys coming down and playing at this event because they get to learn so much. It's not often, a person who's been curling for less than a year can hang out with a gold medalist, national champs.
Yeah. World
Yeah,
champions.
so
and-
it's so great. So
Yeah.
great. Yeah. And a lot of them don't have a chance to, travel through Canada or go to where these games are. So this is we appreciate as much as we appreciate our volunteers and whatnot. We certainly appreciate all of the players who come down
Yeah.
and make this because it doesn't happen without them.
No.
Yeah. So with Schuster using 1 less rock than Epping, looks like John's going to try to, throw up a guard or split the house. He's thinking. Splitting the house is the old-fashioned.
Yeah,
get your dues.
we joked about it the other day about the quote unquote junior deuce, but it's one of the tougher ways to actually
It is.
get one.
Yes.
Especially early in the end, right? Like you have to hit and stick so many times to make that happen.
Yeah, and you just have to, like that left side there to the right of John right now, like sometimes that's the hardest place to hit.
Yeah.
When you have to split the house, you're like, oh my gosh, don't be light, don't be heavy, and you whistle it through or something. Yeah. think this is smart play. You don't need to be too tricky. Have you ever been in those situations, Eric, where let's say you're up 3 or 4 and you change your strategy, and all of a sudden you find yourself down 1 because you've
shifting gears is a tricky thing over the course of a game or even in an end, right? And what's tough about it isn't necessarily the shift; it's when you have to shift back.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. When you go,
There was I remember years ago watching a Vikings football game, and they went into the prevent defense, and I forget who was doing the commentary, but shout out to them. And they had said the only thing the prevent defense does is prevents you from winning.
Oh.
Stick with what you were doing all game.
Yeah.
There is no need to change it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm a big proponent of that myself. I stick with what's working. Like it's obviously it's a 1-point game. I don't need to be too cute. Force the team to make some shots. And it looks like this is a really good. It's going to check up enough. Just sits beside it. That's like your typical power play shot where you try to negate the shooter. Looks like John's going to try to come down, and it'd be nice if you could get a bit of a roll to behind that center guard. Certainly plenty of room there. They're playing it with a bit of a roll, and even if you roll to the back 8 on the other side to split the house, sort of gets what he was hoping or looking at a shot ago.
Yeah,
splits the house. Looks like he's going to have plenty of... He's going to flop to the center, probably. Boop. There you go. Yeah, great shot. Yeah. Splitting hairs, you maybe want that another foot or 2 away. I guess,
that's one of those... Would you rather it finish under the guard? Would you rather have it roll a little more to make... It's just...
Yeah.
And in the area play.
Yeah, but still, there's no way to get the double, so we'll see how long that yellow guard sticks around. Chris doing a heavy clean. Looks like this is going to work out just pretty darn good. Pokes out a little bit, maybe gives Epping the opportunity to kind of hit and roll behind cover there.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he's looking to do, right? Roll to the back, rings behind either under that high guard or the one that's in the 8 foot.
Yeah. Funny story, as I mentioned the shot call here, and John doing it, Eddie told me a story years ago back when CBC, Ron and the Moose were doing the commentating for curling. They would always watch the game first, and then they would do they would watch the game live and then comment afterwards. And then back then, back in the 80s, that's how they were so good at calling these shots. Obviously, they knew what was going to happen, but they actually literally knew what was going to happen. So like, oh yeah, he's going to do run back double, and sure as heck you get the run back double because they'd watched the game 2 hours earlier.
So my favorite Eddie story. He was here talking about it, and he was and I forget if it was Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, but it was somewhere in the prairie provinces. And they went to a spiel, and it was a small town, and but anyway, somebody had come up to him, and they said, I remember watching you play in XYZ spiel, and he goes, oh yeah, I remember that. He goes, after we won, he goes, they turned the lights off on the town. Just they were the reason anybody was there.
So just a minute ago, a nice hit and roll, obviously, from the Epping team. Chris Plies is trying to come down. He's going to just catch that guard. Yeah, back in the day, another Eddie story. Eddie had to go to Germany to play down in a world event, and they asked him to come play, and he asked, well, what's the what's the gift? Like, what's the prize? And they go, it's like a sterling silver serving platter, like with your name engraved. And if you know Eddie, he wasn't one to mince words, and he throws some explanatives and says, like, I'm not flying all the way to Berlin for a
platter.
A platter. He says, I'm not going. And so it was sponsored by Labatt's, and so the Labatt's head honcho calls up Eddie and says, okay, well, we really want you. You got to go. What's it going to take you to go to Berlin to play in this, or Germany to play in this event? He says, I want wall-to-wall Labatt's in my room. And if you know Kawaj and a couple of guys on his team, they were okay with that deal. And needless to say, they were the favorite team by players for the whole event, and they did quite well. But they had floor to ceiling Labatt's in their entire hotel room. So yeah, and I think they got the platter as well.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a win-win-win.
Well, you have to serve them on something.
You do have to serve them on something. All right, so we've got a lot of red in the house. The Schuster Stone, the 4-shot at the back 12. We have some staggered guards. It's getting a little complicated, and they've been trying to sort of get that hit and roll, and from those rocks on the right side of the sheet as we're looking at it. So I suspect John's going to have to start cleaning up a little bit here.
Yeah, and I think they're probably looking at getting a little creative, because this is, we're getting late in the game, late in the end.
Yeah.
How do we get something in? How do we keep some guards? How do we out-count?
Yeah. It's getting tricky. You do have that, you got the yellow-yellow combination at the top that might come into play at some point, but that seems tough. That might be, do a play on that yellow-yellow combination at the top. Leave yourself only one yellow at the top to run back later.
Yeah.
That might be an option. Oh, dear.
So yeah, definitely though a shot worth talking about. Again, another team shot. Everybody has to buy into what you're trying to do to be successful.
Yeah, and this late in the game, this is choosing wisely. Really can be a defining moment. So it's good to take the time, and it's and this is why you want to bank those minutes if you are playing on a clock. The first 3-4 stones of every end sort of wrote. The first 3 ends, maybe 4 ends, kind of textbook. You want to bank your time for this type of.
I remember years ago, a discussion with Russ Howard when he was at the club, and I'm a big Russ Howard fan, I'm a big Eddie fan. But one of the things Russ talked about was the hardest shot. And we talked about this earlier. The high guard or the putting the guard up the zone. The hardest shot to throw, in his opinion, was the shot you don't believe in. Right? If you don't have the confidence in it, it's tough to make it happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the shot is. It doesn't matter if it's a draw, a hit, whatever. If you don't feel it's the right shot, you don't believe it, it is tough to execute.
Yeah. You gotta buy into it. Yeah. I've been stung by that many a time where it's like, well, I really think I should do this, but then somebody talks you into doing something else. Looks like Colin. Look, they're going through there. So close, like that.
Yeah,
that's like a 100 for effort. Yeah, Colin was trying to carve that over. So close. There still is that yellow at the top that can come into play, but I suspect John's. Well, let's see what Epping does here. He's going to want to try to get something in the 4-foot. Does he have to? No, but I think it'd be just to shrink that scoring area just a little bit, or make it tough for John to come in with an in-turn drawer on that left side. Yeah, big. Yeah, we had a comment about the whistling. Yeah,
I believe it's the PC
yeah,
that's
it's the PC.
running.
Yeah, it's our
Either that's
the
my
graphics
deviated septum. I don't know.
it's the it's the graphics card working pretty hard.
That
We're
is
gonna,
how good our microphone is.
it really is good. But we're gonna swap that out. We just recently got a new gaming PC to help us with our streaming, and we're gonna look to revamp our streaming.
Continual upgrades.
Yeah, continuous
improvement.
Yeah. We've been talking to the guys over at Potomac Curling Club there over in Maryland, looking to do something kind of like the curling zone where you got, we'll stream all 4 sheets, and then people can take a pick of what they want. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So that'll soon to be upgraded. I would probably this year.
I mean, I just assumed the whistling was better than listening to us. In a lot of ways.
Well, we've been dropping a lot of knowledge.
We have.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, and I don't know, like any kind of commentary. Well, for the most part, is better than zero, I think.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, 'cause
I appreciate, though, a fan or someone watching, fan's probably a little strong, asking a question versus us asking a question to them. Right? We flipped and reversed it.
Yeah.
That Uno card just got thrown down.
Yeah. Well, I think we got a lot of family members. We got a lot of folks here who know a lot about.
There's supposed to be
curling.
some big families at like 600 plus watchers.
Well, you've got, Epping is loved by most people in Ontario, and you've got obviously a U.S. Olympic team on the sheet.
Yeah,
like it's talk about 2 heavyweights.
Yeah,
like this is it's good.
So Team Epping's thirds or Vice's second stone.
Yep.
7th end, Team Schuster up 1.
Up 1.
Epping with the hammer.
Sitting 3.
Sitting 3.
Maybe 4 here in a minute.
Yep. Help reset the level set the scenario so we're all on the same page. We got a little.
We got off on a bit of a tangent, maybe.
Yeah. But a good one.
Yeah.
An enjoyable one.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? It's a journey, not a destination.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. And this certainly does keep the pressure on, and it's one of those, emotional, momentum shifts. Again, they're just trying to tap this a little bit. Yeah. Again, doesn't. It's really kind of a net zero for John, other than, sitting 4. John's got 2 shots. Well, yeah, 2 shots. I'm still thinking that yellow combination, but I don't know why.
Yeah, if you were to throw that yellow with like back 8 weight, and you sit just behind the tee line, you sit outside the proverbial loaded gun of that red. Mm-hmm. You're in a bit of a safe spot. You're out count all 4 stones, or at least 3 of the 4, and you kind of reset the end as far as how do we make something happen.
Yeah, and you might get an advantageous rub and roll, or
right.
There's certainly lots to catch on. And then, just personally, I like getting rid of that yellow combination. It just gives you 1 rock to hit.
Yep.
If that's all you have later on. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
In addition to the Instagram content and the TikTok content we teased about earlier, real quick, we should take a picture of this real quick and throw it out to the people on the socials. What would you throw?
Oh yeah. There's a few
right
out on the Facebook like that, and Thomas, I see your comment about the not a lot of curl. The earlier in the week we were getting 4 foot 3.5 to 4 foot. We had papered the rocks not too long ago, and we did ask the teams, on Friday maybe, if they would mind if we papered the rocks, and nobody said yes. They all agreed to just kind of stick with what we got. So agreed. Normally, yeah.
Right. And we'll talk about this a little bit more. But
Sure.
One of the things that was discussed was curlers at this level playing the tour spiels, the nicer spiels, throw more rotation and they're more positive. And they have a tendency to set them out.
Yep.
Having said that, the curl they get is considerably less than your average club curler.
Yeah.
So if we were to take 4 people out of the warm room right now, they're probably still going to get 4 to 5 feet of curl.
Right, with 4 rotation, with 3.5 or
right.
something. Yeah.
But
So here we go. Yellow.
excellent execution. You disrupted the loaded gun. You got rid of the shot stone, and you're now. But yeah, how these pros throw the stones.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of the curl out of the game, and they delay the break point, and it is a factor.
Yeah, for
when
sure.
coming to any club event.
Yeah, and I think I guess while the curl, these guys are used to 4.5 on demand, curl either way. The speed has been sublime.
Yes.
So I guess would you like to have curl and speed? Yes, but at least it's predictable.
And it's been consistent across all 4 sheets. Feedback from the players has been excellent counter punch.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But the feedback from the players has been excellent speed, excellent ice,
Yeah.
great conditions.
Yeah.
Would you like to see more? Yes, but again, considering how tour pros throw the stone versus a club curler, it's different. It's no. You can't tiger-proof the curling ice for one event over the course of a full season.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. So it looks like we're going to draw in and get just touch the 4.
Yeah, hopefully behind that high yellow, right? Hide behind a little something and.
Yeah, it's you just need Yeah, but good comment though as far as the punch counter punch. Like that was an excellent shot by Schuster. Equally good by Epping the run back to discount that.
Which is honestly a lot of what we were expecting all game and have seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so this one, we're gonna have to ask Hamilton to start carving that. Probably not yet. There we go.
And here this is one of those shots where line is more important than weight. It is better to be buried deep
Yes.
than it is to be sticking out
Yes.
in the top 8.
Yes, and just easy pop for 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yep, and that's
Great shot.
well done.
Yeah.
And not to discount it, after John Schuster came up light
Yes.
for 2 last end, or
Yes.
2 ends ago, right?
Yes.
Like
Talk about they say you got to
the
be
bounce back.
Yeah, you got to be like a fish.
Yeah,
right? You gotta
goldfish.
be,
Yep.
Be mad at yourself on the backboards for 10 seconds, park it, and then
Yep.
go after it. So John now, like you never want to run back an opposition's rock, but would you in this position? Do those gear? I think those are far enough away where they don't gear. It's just they're not going to gear. It's just going to be angles. But that red combo does he?
But here you go from looking at what could have been, handshakes to they're either they're gonna be forced to one
Yep.
or
Some
a
great
circus
shot.
hero,
Right.
shot. Like
Right.
this is.
Yeah, you could. Like, do you almost? I don't know. I'd almost say you try the red angle. Redirect those reds, and if you miss it, give John 1. You got the hammer going an 8.
Down 2, then you have to steal in the extra.
Yeah, I suppose.
No, I mean, but it's a viable. But if you make it, you're champion. You've got the big wrench, the keeper wrenches, the check, the whole
enchilada.
Yeah,
as they say. Yeah. Or you try to run back that yellow, and you run back the yellow that's just left of center, or even off of either one. Run back either yellow. You get it, you score 4. You don't get it, you give up 1. Like risk reward, right?
The discussion here that they are having is warranted.
Yes. Mike Hansen, I don't understand why we use the central line tick rule on Tuesday evening social league. Well, we do that, Mr. Hansen, so that the newer players get used to playing with the tick. So if you ever wanted to go play at a U5 or a USA Curling Nationals or Club Champion, you'd have that experience. I don't think we do it on our other.
We don't, and I will say this as well. That rule on the Tuesday night evening league is optional, provided both skips agree that they're going to waive it. Yeah. So if you wish to waive it,
look at this here. Here's the red.
Yep. Wow.
4-3.
Yep. So Team Epping up 2 coming home in the 8th.
Yes, look at that. That's
took them a moment to get there on the decision, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is pretty crazy. The
and John putting the flannel back on, right? Like, hey, no big deal.
Another day at the office.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll put 2 up there, and we just look at the hammer efficiency. Certainly. Well, this is. We told you it was going to come down to the 8th end. We're happy that's the case. Yeah. And I think maybe that last end it was just Team Schuster trying to come through that port. Maybe they spent a little bit too much time at that. Maybe.
Yeah, hindsight is.
Yeah, it's easy to talk about. Well,
and good on John for the draw that he made. If it's a foot higher,
yeah,
that red angle isn't there, right? Like it's a game of inches. How many times have you experienced it, heard it, lived it, discussed it?
Yeah, more times.
Witnessed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this one should be right in the pin, I suspect, and we should see John put up 2 corner guards. We should see Epping throw up a centerline guard. So the first 4 shots here should be fairly
scripted,
yeah. Nicely managed shot. Yeah, the live chat is a flutter with everybody's appreciating the good curling they're watching.
Yeah,
great shot by Epping.
It's been an amazing game.
It has been. See a couple corners here.
So after this corner, we suspect Epping will put up a center guard.
Yes.
I will say this. For the club curlers watching and the people who play regular bonspiels, I would suggest this as an option to you based on that level of play. Instead of putting up a center guard, put another one on top of the one that's currently sitting on the button.
Mm-hmm.
You now have to move 84 pounds of granite versus 42.
Right.
I understand the no-tick. I understand the free guard zone, all of that.
Yep.
But if the other team also needs to put up another corner or come around, you can then, your second's first stone can then be the center guard, and they then have to run that back into 2 stones versus 1.
Yeah, totally agree. It makes a lot of sense. You could play the freeze, and if you come up light, you still it's a win-win. So, yep, totally agree. They might have heard you. They're coming in a little deep, but again, they're not too worried about it. They know John has to play a guard.
Exactly.
So, and then here's the discussion. You see, John, do we stack them or do we come across the?
And electing to stack them.
Yeah, which is, because they say statistically, if you have 2 stack guards, 3 comes in play far more often.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we'll see maybe a center line guard now. Yeah.
Right, and this kind of goes to what I was saying, right?
Yep. It's
because Schuster has to ignore both those stones in the house.
yes. How many U5 games have we seen where, I don't want to make this sound. Well, I won't even say it, but you can quickly start chasing the other team's game, and you shouldn't worry about that. Yeah. And again, even if it's top 12, it's no problem. Because now the five rocks are in play. Now we start ripping. We probably see one come into the house. Oh, I'm going to rip. It'd be nice to leave that thrown rock, as a guard to the left side.
Yeah.
To hide behind later on. Give you some extra cover. I suspect if it was biting the house, they would just hit and roll in. Yeah, a little board weight, just enough to get it out the back.
I like the call of softer weight. That way your stone sticks around.
Yeah.
Right, the stone, ultimately at this point, the stones in the 12-foot really shouldn't matter much.
Right.
Your play's going to be forced to the middle. You got to get your deuce. But, backs are against the wall. Everybody knows what needs to happen.
Yeah. And it gives you in-offs. It gives you, other opportunities. So, yeah, it's easy to just start, well, let's just go peel.
Yeah. But, yeah, leaving it there for an in-off, an angle raise, whatever the situation may be is to your benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. Rocks in play only help you. Yeah. And if you're epping, having John, do these lightweight, kind of redistributing the rocks around the sheet. If they're doing that, they're not thinking about scoring.
I remember... We'll try to keep this story short, but I remember a few years back we were playing Team Dunstone, and we had one top 4, top button. We had another one top 8, top 12, and then we had a center guard. And instead of just ripping that center guard, Matt and company were chipping. They were basically throwing board weight, hacking, rolling over. And I remember, we're down there on our skips last visit. We put this guard back up. We're stealing one, maybe 2.
Yeah.
And we made it every time, the guard. And Matt came down and he threw one, and I think it was 6 seconds. He ripped the guard, the one that was top 8, top 12, and the one that was top 4, top button.
They all said goodbye.
They all said goodbye, and they ended up scoring 4
Yeah.
because all of those little board waiters that they had chipped over on the side of the rings counted.
Yeah.
There was not a stone that was full 4, even biting 4, and it was a great lesson. And I could go back on Curling Zone, I could find the game, I can find the end, and I can show it to you. And it was one of those just
Yeah.
he plays a different game than I'm playing.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, we're thinking,
oh, yeah, we got this.
We got this. And up to that point, it was the 6th end, and it was a tie game. And
Well, in Alberta, they call those flobs.
Yeah.
I
mean, I think that's. I could be wrong, but I think that's where the nickname of the sheriff came from.
Oh, yeah.
It was a few years before it actually came up, but oof, that was a
Dunny.
That was a tough one. Yeah, back when Dunny is money. But point being, those types of shots have their place.
They do. They do, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's about, again, we talked about earlier, but thinking ahead, trying to be like, okay, where do I want to be when it comes to the, thirds, second shot, skips first shot, where do we want to be, and trying to put yourself in a position to be able to execute at that point. It's easy to get caught up in the, oh no, there's, a red on the, and to your point earlier, John's, or the shot there's behind the tee line. One good freeze, and the end could be a lot more complicated. So, and you look at that yellow where it is now over at probably the 10 o'clock spot. There you have a nice hit and roll to that pot, right? So, I don't want to give it away. I haven't seen this show yet, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens here. So just again throwing it up, making it difficult for Schuster to get to the pin. Good scrub in there by Horgan. Yeah, another decision time. You could probably, for sure, you can get to nose on that rock that was just thrown and probably kill two of those reds and have your shooter roll in. Yep, right there, John.
Yep. No, exactly.
Yeah. Well, looks like that's what they're trying to do. They got a little bit of a catcher there on that right-hand red. Oh. Great shot by Chris. Gives him another rock to use, another rock in the house. I suspect we'll see another guard, unless John's thinking of getting... Yeah. So this kind of goes back to our earlier comment about respecting your opponent. John's looking to maybe use that yellow on the left side before John does.
Yeah, right. Even if you lose the shooter on this one, it's
just gets out
keeping
of
it around doesn't help anybody, or it doesn't help you. Right.
Right. Yes, so Wendy, there are points. I think the modifier fire event is about a 3.0 we're talking about.
Yeah, they were talking somewhere between 3.5.
Yeah, so there certainly are.
We're waiting on curling zone for the
official.
Yeah.
So there's points to be had.
So having said that, though, it's one of the premier events in the United States based on that multiplier.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the reason we get the teams we do.
Right.
Right. So yeah.
Oh, 3 stones to go. Your fourth shot. We always talk about, mathematically you're not out yet.
Yep.
But there probably needs to be another hit and roll. If they can maybe kill 2 of those reds, maybe the one on the back button, maybe the one on the top 8, roll in behind that cover, roll far enough so you don't choke off.
Yeah, I think part of the discussion is do you get rid of them now, or do you play it maybe soft enough where you can keep them as catchers for potential jams?
Yeah.
Right. Again, we don't have access to know what they're talking about, but as somebody who's played in this event many times and on other tour events, and against a lot of these teams, that's part of the discussion is, hey, is it this or this? And instantly you kind of say, okay, it's not this. So it leaves the first option.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, you need to do something. You need to get creative, right? It's 8th end. And if you're Schuster, you don't necessarily need to get 3 to win.
Nope.
2 gets you an extra.
Yes. Yep.
Right?
2 and a steal.
And that's part of that's another discussion, but it's part of the bigger discussion. Is it easier to get 3 or is it easier to get 2 and steal 1?
Well, yeah, 2
Right?
and 1.
Yeah,
two,
right. Like
yeah,
live to fight another day. Right. In general.
Right. Yeah, because you got adrenaline, you've got emotion swings. Like it's, yeah. Looks like they are. And again, to your point, it doesn't have to be a rocket. And then these rocks are alive enough. Even if you just threw a nice control, 10-5, maybe you want to. The shooter has to stick around. That's imperative.
Yeah, no, agreed on the shooter, right? And even if it doesn't finish in an ideal spot, they'll probably have to deal with it.
Yeah, you could even come around and hit that on the low side and flop to the left behind the guard and just get out of the way. You can hear John screaming.
Yeah, I think that's as well executed as you can do. Epping now probably has a bit of a decision to try and come around that outside, or is your best guard second shot.
Ooh, I think if you're Mr. Epping, I would say putting it top 4 behind cover. Yeah,
Yep.
right there. Because can you see that yellow? Like, because that yellow is loaded in such a way to hit that red.
That's the problem with it for Team Epping, right?
Yeah.
It's dang close, and you don't want to disturb that stone.
Yeah, mind you, it's still wide open. I guess
Yeah.
it's wide open enough where you can just hit it and roll. So putting something top 4, forcing John to make a play on that. Well,
Here's what I do know.
yeah.
Coming down to skip stones in the 8th end
Yeah.
is the best we could ask
Yes.
for.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Somebody's going to have to make a shot.
Please answer the point question.
Line's really good. Line's really good. Line's really good.
And again, we've talked about it earlier in the game. I like how he's coming around the outside of it versus the in to out. And being 90% buried, the side he is showing is the side you'd want to show versus showing the inside, which would leave an easier double.
Yeah. Agreed. Now, guards are your friends. You need 2. But would you ever try to run that high yellow back?
I believe there's merit in it from the standpoint of even if you miss it, you probably open it up, and then I don't know where John Epping puts his last stone.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be able to guard them both, but at the same time, if you just put it in now, Schuster has to throw a triple versus a double, right? Like that's...
And it looks like... So it looks like he's going to try to hit this a little bit on the low side. So the low side is just a little bit right of center. I don't know if you'd want to roll... You wouldn't want to hit the shot 2 stone and roll to Chris's left, because then that would create a potential jam. So I think you want to get to the right here. Let's see. So what John's got up his sleeve.
Easy.
Yeah, looks like they're trying to flop to the left.
Keep curling it. Keep curling it.
Well, no.
I want to go big roll now.
Well, that's a good... Interesting. So what does John do now? If you're Epping, do you just pull one around the pin and say, come hit me? Probably, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Because you're up 2. You want to keep, by putting one around the pin.
Yeah.
How does John get 2?
And he probably loses the one in the back.
Yeah.
10, something similar.
So, looking through the comments, I see there's a few people that have this muted, which I can respect. But my question is, and I understand the irony going into it, is it because of me or because of Daryl? We're going to put that one out to the fans. I'm happy to hear the answer. You know, but we're enjoying what we're doing. Hopefully, the vast majority of you are enjoying this game, and you know what we're trying to do to bring you as much curling action as we can.
Yes, absolutely. This needs to curl a bunch. There it goes. Whew.
So, does that leave a double, or do you have to run that back?
I think you got to run that back for 4.
Right? And that's instantly what John Schuster is
Yeah.
going out to take a look at.
My goodness.
Right? You got that catcher's mitt, pair of pants.
Yeah.
You know,
This is
rock
it.
crotch, whatever you want to call it. It's there.
This is what we all came to see: big shots for big cash. You know, and if you're Epping, you know, and well, any of the Canadian teams who you know who were here this weekend, the Canadian dollar, you know, it's 40%, right?
I just learned that the
yeah.
other day. I'm used to traveling up there, and it was like
Yeah.
80 to 90%.
Yeah, it's a good time to win an event or qualify in the States.
Yeah.
Well, let's see here, big shot from John. Colin Huffman going. Looks like it's over curling.
Oh, 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 oh. Oh my gosh. What a
So close.
what a fantastic finish.
Oh my goodness.
Despite whoever you were cheering for, you cannot ask for
No.
a closer finish.
Oh, that was it. All right. Well, on behalf of the Coyote Curling Club, for Eric Kowal and myself, Daryl Horseman, and the 2025 Ed Werenich Golden Wrench Classic, congratulations to Team Epping for taking this year's top spot. And, of course, a great game by John Schuster for the second place finish. And really,
All the teams.
All the teams.
All the teams, all the volunteers,
All the
everybody that
volunteers.
came to watch.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. We'll see you soon.
Enjoy.
Enjoy.